what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. We have the whole fleet outside, pretty much. We're missing my Evo 9. It's not going to be included in this videos. The Evo 9's too expensive. The truck is over here. It's not going to be included in this video. Just these three. These are the three that I'm going to go over today. And I'm going to tell you guys and inform you what do I think is the best car out of the three of these and why, and then also which one you should get for the first one. Now you can end up like me and have all three, hopefully, because it's a great community and I really love these cars. Amazing platforms, that's why I own all three of them. Really amazing platforms. But I'm gonna go over and tell you which one you should buy first and which one I like the most. Let's get into it. So we're gonna start with the 2000 Toyota MR-2 Spyder. So it might be called an MRS where you're from other parts of the world, or it might be called a ZZW30, that sometimes they're called that, or an MR2 Roadster, or MRS Roadster. There's a lot of names, but here in the States we call it the MR2 Spyder. So I've owned this actual car the longest, but it was my second car that second car that I've ever owned. This car I've had a very long time. So that being said, I can give the strongest opinion on this car. A little bit about this car. This one's turboed and has an engine swap and a transmission swap. So we're gonna kind of just stay with the base model. Base model comes with a 1ZZ. You can get a 5-speed in the US or an automatic SMT. It's the same thing as like an automatic with the little shifters. Or actually in Europe, you could actually get a 6-speed with it, but it was a 1ZZ, 140-ish horsepower, 138, 140 horsepower. Rear wheel drive. That's one of the biggest things on this car. It is a rear-wheel drive, and technically it's a mid-engine. The engine actually sits right here. You can see it right in there. That's actually where the engine sits. It's a special layout. Keep that in mind. It's a really special layout. Some of the pros, it's a unique car. Some people say they look like frogs, but they're very unique looking. It's the most sporty out of all of these cars here, by far, in my opinion. All three of these cars are 2 doors, so keep that in mind, 2 doors. But this is the only one that's actually a 2-seater, and it is a smaller compartment on the inside here, but it looks amazing. So again, this is older. You can see on the dated of the interior, but still, it's pretty cool. I really like it. Again, 6-speed, older looking dash. Just everything's kind of older looking on it, but I like it. Again, this is the first year that these came out. This is a 2000, 2 seats, has 2 seats. Again, 6-speed. Really like the actual layout of it, especially since it's that mid-engine rear-wheel drive. But when you look at this one, most people, this one will get the most attention. So out of all three of these, number one for attention, if you want attention, this is the one that you want to get. From the rear, without having the TRD body kit on it, they look goofy in my opinion. The tires are really small. They need some modifications. Not my favorite look from the rear, but from the side, definitely my favorite look. This one has some big scoop intakes. They're called C1 intakes, aftermarket wheels. It's done up all the way. In addition to that, this one came with a kind of hard to find, I would say, OEM hardtop. It is a convertible. Out of all three of these, this is the only one that is a convertible. So that is a big deal. If you're actually looking for, you know, a real sports car, a real roadster, this is the one that you're gonna want. I love it for that reason. The main reason I love the MR2, it's rear-wheel drive, mid-engine. Very, very sporty. So, you know, the big pro of this is the way it looks in the mid-engine. Let's move on to the car that I've owned the longest. My first car was one of these. This is a 2000 to 2005, same years, 2000 to 2005, Toyota Celica. This is a GTS. It has the ability to come with a 1ZZ, like that engine, but it also has the ability to come with a 2ZZ, which is my favorite engine. Both these cars have 2ZZs. This one comes with 180 horsepower factory, which is 40 more than this. This weighs roughly about 2,200 pounds. This weighs about 2,500 pounds. So they're pretty similar. The Celica was slightly quicker. I wouldn't say fast, slightly quicker than the MR2 Spyder, but when you first bought them, they actually feel very similar unless you actually know how to drive a 2ZZ, which is when you keep really high in the revs. That being said, this is also a 2-wheel drive, so it's not all-wheel drive, but it's front-wheel drive. It comes with a 6-speed manual on the one I have. You can get a 5-speed GT, a 6-speed Celica, 2ZZ, that's the GTS version, and then it also comes with an automatic in both the GT and GTS versions. I recommend driving the 5-speed 1ZZ or driving the 6-speed Celica GTS. Is a much better trim. That being said, if you do have the automatic, it's not horrible, it's just slower shifts, and it's just not it's not as sporty and fun to drive. Move on into the interior of this Celica, and you guys can take a look at it and let me know what you think. I like this. I think it looks futuristic for the time. I like it a lot. I think it looks really good. It actually feels very spacious in here. The rooms feels more spacious than the MR-2, but there is less headroom than the MR-2. This one actually came with a nice moonroof or sunroof, whatever you want to call it. 6-speed manual again. I like the seats. They're very similar to the Toyota MR-2 right next to us, but I think this one's just a little bit more futuristic on the interior. I think it was ahead of its time. It looks good. Now, this one does have rear seats. You guys can see that leather back rear seats. It can fit 4 people. I fit 4 people in this a lot. It's more practical than the FRSs, which is going to be next. So actually, I would say that this is the most practical use vehicle. One of the fun things is you're going to see all 3 of these rear cars. I just realized how insanely similar my taste is. Mid-black, 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 and then the red. So again, I like all the same cars. My Evo, I have an Evo 9, it's going to look the exact same. Out of all 3 of these, I do think that the Tsunami version, so this is either called a TRD, some people in some countries they call this a TRD body kit, or a Tsunami version here in the United States. I do think that this is the most appealing and best looking rear end of the 3 cars. I just think it's the most girthy, and it just to me has the best body lines. I do like the pedestal, you know, just one step up. Spoiler, it's not the big TRD high style. Very aggressive. I love the big TRD high style, but the Tsunami version's just more mature and modern. And from the rear end, I think this one has the best rear end. From the side, it also, to me, has the best sharp angle from the side. You guys see that right there? That is what the Celica is known for, is that one body line right there. Very sharp looking. The MR-2 is much more round and soft on all the angles, which is cool. It actually kind of looks more like an R8, and this looks more like a, I would say just a sharper angle, kind of an older. But now, new cars are actually starting to look sharper angle again and getting away from the round. Pros about the Toyota Celica and the MR-2, they both have parts super readily available everywhere for them. The MR-2 is becoming a lot less harder, not as much red availability, but when you both have these cars, if you're gonna go buy them today, the Celica is gonna have more parts available than the MR-2. The MR-2s are becoming more rare and more of a kind of a gym, I guess you would say. This version of the Celica is very gym-like, but overall, just the Celicas aren't as rare. Overall, the front-wheel drive front engine versus the mid-engine rear-wheel drive, hands down, the MR-2 is going to take that one. But functionality, the Celica, to me, I got to be honest, it's really close in handling. All these are really close in handling, but aesthetic-wise, I love this Celica so much. I think it's just so perfect and sharp. It's not as attention-grabbing as that, but you know, all 3 of these cars are red. So if I was going to do a first car of these 2, I can't give you that answer yet. We got to jump onto the FRS. Let's go to the 3rd car here. MR-2, over a decade of owner experience. Celica, more than a decade of owner experience. FRS, driven a lot of them, never owned one till now. I've had the FRS for about 2 or 3 months now, and I am falling in love with this car. One of the things we will talk about is prices for all these, so which one you want to choose and which one you guys will think is better. But the FRS is so good. It is like these 2 had a baby, and you guys are ready for it? So rear-wheel drive, front engine, 6 speeds, 6-speed. So do you guys see all that? It's like they put them together. Toyota did such a, or whatever, Scion, Toyota and Subaru did such a good job with this car. It's amazing. Things I really like about it, again, is the rear-wheel drive. The actual interior, when I first saw them online, I did not think they were going to be that good, but they are much more modern. They are really good. I've fallen in love with this interior. The seats are cloth, so I do have leather on the other 2 cars, and then this is a cloth one, but it also has a back seat, way less functional. Look how close that is to the front seats, there's just no room at all. So it's not functional compared to the Toyota Celica. There's actually a lot more room. In addition to that, the Toyota Celica is like a true hatch. This guy has a trunk, so that makes it less practical. The Toyota Celica, you can fit like a 60-inch TV back there, a huge TV. This one does have it where it comes down, the seats do, but there's just not as practical in my opinion. This also has a great transmission. I'm really enjoying it. 6-speed manual. Again, I really like this interior. Seats aren't my favorite, but everything else is definitely one of my favorites. I love the look of the climate control. I love the look of the dash over there. I love the look up here with the tack right in the middle. Very aesthetic, very, very cool. I love it. I've been enjoying this car a lot. Sound wise, I'm gonna say that of course the turboed MR-2 is the best, but if this is a stock 1ZZ, it's gonna be the least good sounding. And then when this revs up, the 2ZZ, I was gonna say the best sounding, and then this one's you have to like it. If you get the unequal length headers, it's totally Subaru, but even with the equal length headers, it still doesn't sound as good as the high revving 2ZZ. It's very K series. Kind of doing a wrap of all three of them. Man, I really love all these. This FRS I'm liking a lot. Let's go over the price real quick and what you're probably gonna pick yours up for. And you know, if you're really price conscious, which a lot of people are, and that's probably one of the reasons you're watching this, is you want, especially with gas prices, you want a good daily driver as your first car or as a good daily driver, which, you know, these are all great options for it. But price wise, you're probably gonna get an MR-2 between $8,000 and $10,000. That's in fair condition, pretty okay condition. If you want a low mile one, like a 1ZZ low mile, like within the 50,000 miles to like 70,000 miles, you're gonna be approaching like 13,000, 14,000. The Toyota Celica is going to be nearly impossible to find a Celica that is in that mileage. They're all driven a ton. Everyone loved them, enjoyed them. So if you're going to get a GTS version, and you're probably going to get one that has roughly 100,000 to 150,000, which I think that they're going to be good till about 300,000 miles, so it still has a lot of life left in it. This Celica will probably be... This version would probably be about 10,000, 10 to 11,000. But if you got a non-bodied and just a basic GTS version, you're probably gonna get like $8,000. So this one's probably gonna be the most price competitive. Now you can find a 1ZZ that's not in good condition. Again, that's the GT version, and you might be able to get that 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, but it's not gonna have, it's a totally different car. And keep that in mind. So I do recommend the GTS manual version with the 2ZZ on it. It's just, you're not going to be happy if you get the 1ZZ. And if you have a 1ZZ, it's cool, recommend turboing it, but this is a way superior version. And if you have one of these, hold on to it, because I think they're going to appreciate a lot. 8,000 to 10,000-ish. Now, this being a 2000, 2004, and then a decade newer, 2014, this is quite a bit newer, these cars are gonna go for the most, about 18,000 to 22,000, roughly around there, for about 70 to 80,000 miles. If you're gonna get a lower mile one, and maybe even a newer one, like a 16 or 17, you're gonna be approaching 30,000 again, which is like the new car price for that. I don't recommend spending that much on a car like this. There's not enough, hold on one second. There's not enough thrill and excitement for this to be a $35,000 car. That's just my opinion. I think for a $35,000 car, you can get an Evo 9. It's old, has older interior, but it's way more fun to drive. No offense than all these, but the Evo 9 is crazy. This one, I would say a good fair deal for is about $14,000. So we're gonna go and recap all that. So, you know, half price pretty much, roughly, half price. But it is older and a little, you know, doesn't look as new. It looks great, but not as new. And then this one's probably gonna be in the middle of them. This is gonna be the least practical, most practical, and then second. So out of all three of these, which are you gonna choose? It really depends. But if they said, Mitch, you can only have one of your cars, which you're gonna take? And you guys are gonna know, it's gonna hurt some of your feelings, but you're gonna know, what's the car that I've owned the longest? It's the MR-2. So the MR-2 I'm gonna take. Reason why, again, it's the mid-engine rear-wheel drive. It is the most fun out of all of them. It's the most sporty. The handling is the best on it. These are both fantastic handling cars. Both of them are roughly 200 horsepower. You know, this one has a turbo on it, and this is significantly less in horsepower, but this is the best car. If you've never owned a sports car and you want to get into them, get into this. This is good. I know they're harder to find, but this is worth it. Get into this, graduate into something newer. But if you can find the MR-2, it is so unique, so rare, so fun, so much better. Definitely recommend the MR-2 over all of them. It's just so cool looking. Look how small it is and cool. The next one is going to be, of course, my favorite of all time that I've always been known for is the Celica. It's going to be number 2. And then weird, but the FRS is just a mixture of each one of these, so it should be like the best of all of them, but there's like a little bit of driving dull spot on it, and it does feel really purist and good. It's just not as like screaming loud. This is an exciting vehicle. MR-2 is definitely going to take that one, especially with the top off, you know, especially even having a hard top. Everything about the MR-2 is the most visceral experience. So I do recommend the MR-2. I do recommend doing an engine swap on it, or some kind of power mods for the 1ZZ. It is a great platform. I love the MR-2, and I think people are going to just gobble them up and put K-Series and 2ZZs in them like they already have. The Celica is great daily driver, and then the FRS is third place. So that's what I'd recommend. I love all 3 of these. I'm not keeping any of them stock. I don't know if you can tell, none of them are stock already. The MR-2 is completely done. It's all the way, all in-game. The MR-2 is in-game, besides my Evo 9. But the MR-2 is gonna get a new tune. I'm very excited on it. Hopefully it puts 200 to 300 wheel horsepower. The Celica is getting a turbo. We're gonna do that probably now, right now. I'm actually gonna wash the cars and put it in there and start taking that apart. And then the FRS is the daily driver. It's the newest car, it should be the daily driver. It's the fun to put, and it's really, they're all really good gas mileage, keep that in mind. Really good gas mileage on these. And then we're gonna have the truck and an Evo 9. So that's where we are. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely recommend shopping all 3 of these vehicles, finding out what's best for you. The MR-2. If you get an MR-2, make sure to send me an Instagram message with your picture of your car. I love you. The MR-2 is my fam. Celica, you guys are amazing too. Celica's best, good fam. FRS, I'm just getting to know all you guys. I love the FRS. Make sure to like, subscribe, swing by my website, MR-2.com. Let's go ahead and clean up all these cars, put them back in the garage, and start doing some turbo. See ya.